Each year, millions of commuters in the Philadelphia region ride SEPTA Regional Rail. Now, thanks to 3 independent web developers and designers, navigating those trains is a lot easier for iPhone users with iSepta. Chris Conley, Jason Tremblay, and Randy Schmidt found inspiration for their web-based app in the iPhone.
We're a little bit inspired by the coolness of the device. That was the factor. But the iPhone as a portable window into the internet we thought was perfect for iSepta because it's really the problem that people have is they don't really need to know the train schedule as much when they're in front of their computer as they do when they're standing at the train station or running to the train station, maybe trying to catch a train. So to make that a little bit more portable, to make it a little more accessible, that was why we chose the iPhone.
Developed independently of SEPTA, the Southeast Pennsylvania Transit Authority, it didn't take long for word of the application to spread.
It really came together when we started getting a lot of press in the metro, and it was really exciting when SEPTA, one of the managers of SEPTA, sent us an email with like iSepta in the subject line, a lot of exclamation points at the end. So that was that's a cool moment. So.
If you don't live in the Philadelphia area, though, the iSepta development team could make your local commute easier as well.
We've talked about changing the backend so that it works with more open data formats. Randy can probably say more about that, but to make it compatible with Google Transit or to adopt something that would allow us to plug in information from other people if they made it available. So.
Yeah, one of the things is Google Transit has a standard format for importing all this information into Google Transit, so what we kind of thought about doing was creating a generic user interface and accepting that data from transportation authorities. So with a little bit of work, instead of redoing the app for every transportation authority, we could say, here's the data for, SEPTA or something.
The developers created the application prior to the release of Apple's Software Developer Kit for the iPhone. The SDK and new iPhone bring new benefits and challenges.
The developer kit's coming out, but so is the 3G iPhone. So while one of the I guess most annoying things about it right now is that it's a little bit slow on the Edge network, that's going to be solved at the same time that the developer kit comes out, which would allow us to do something like take the data offline or anything else.
One problem with doing something with SDK is you're kind of narrowing your niche as opposed to broadening it to people. Another thing you could do too is use the location stuff in the iPhone to try to figure out where they are and the closest station is. So we might create, like I say, a little iPhone app, which is a very little one, has an icon, that's almost it. You click it and it grabs your location and sends it to the URL and opens up Safari and it knows where you are and grabs the closest station.
While the creation of iSepta may seem daunting, Randy says it wasn't too time intensive.
The first piece of code that got committed was on March 28th, 2008, and it was a spare time application. It was probably better for you. It was more like short spurts of working on stuff.
I did the user interface in, I would say, like 2 long weekends of work.
It was about 2.5 hours until I had a working version. And then, the data was like 90% accurate. It took, I think, the next month or month and a half to get the rest of the 10% of the data accurate. Just because trying to deal with the scraping their schedules and stuff. So.
The developers met at Indy Hall, a co-working space in Philadelphia that tends to foster collaboration.
One of the great things about working at Indy Hall is that these kinds of collaborations happen all the time down there. I'm not just working with these guys, I'm working with a company called Round 3 Media that's developing out of Indy Hall. And I know that there are several other members of Indy Hall that are working together on other things. So there's a lot of grassroots entrepreneurship and innovation going on down there. It's really inspiring.
Soon, the application developers will meet with SEPTA officials to explore the future of their creation and the possibility of working together on future transit projects. For thedigital lifestyle.tv, I'm Ryan Ritchie.